What's going on, you guys? This is your boy RBG, aka the Random Black Gamer, bringing you another video on Transformers Reactivate. And unfortunately, it looks like there is trouble in paradise in regards to this title, which isn't saying much because it's been in development purgatory for quite some time, and we don't know if it's ever gonna crawl its way out of that. Even though there has been signs that there is light at the end of the tunnel, we still are left in the dark because the developers have yet to say anything on this matter, but it hasn't stopped representatives who previously worked with the company to stress their frustrations with them. Yeah, that's right, we actually have some inside details on what's been going on with the development of Transformers Reactivate at Splash Damage, which is a bit concerning, but I'm not quite sure how indicative this is on the current phase of the game's development because we already know this thing has seen so many hands on it. But this is actually a protest from somebody that's worked with Splash Damage, which is the current developer of this title. And while this person chose to post these things anonymously, there is a lot of validation to back up their arguments because they're posting on a site by the name of Glassdoor, which is a safe space for people who worked in the video game development industry get to voice their frustrations with companies they previously worked with. And usually you have to make an account to get on this site, but thankfully a Twitter/X user by the name of OCell Pro was kind enough to provide some of the more important aspects of this post to give us somewhat of a general idea of what's been going on and why this game seems to be in development hell. I also gotta give a shout out to another YouTuber who's been covering this game extensively, and that is TF Reaper, because they're the one who actually brought this to life first. So if you want to get his thoughts on it, then I highly recommend subscribing to his channel to stay up to date on all things Transformers Reactivate. He posts more consistently than I do in regards to this game. But anyways, let's just go ahead and dive right into this thing. The first thing we have to look at is this title that says that there is a lack of vision and forced return to office. A lot of people have a genuine passion and are really great to work with, but there is no vision for the games. In the slightly over 2 years they were there, the vision for Transformers changed about 3 times, while the deadline was slightly pushed back to accommodate it was clearly not enough, and everyone knew it. And reading this is sad, but it just confirms what we already knew. Like, we've seen this game go from Transformers Rise to Transformers Reactivate, and I'm pretty sure that there have been so many different shifts in the tone and overall direction that they wanted to take this title, and this person just basically just reinstates that, you know, they're just saying that yes, there was a lack of direction or vision here, and there were multiple deadlines that ultimately got pushed back. And what's funny is that we originally assumed that this all had to do with Hasbro because we know they're all about that brand synergy, and they already had a toy line that was going to coincide with this game. And I just assumed that, hey, maybe they're just trying to push back into the right time to where they're going to release the toys and then they'll eventually roll out the game. But as we know, things didn't quite turn out that way, since the toys originally had the name Rise on it, but it had to be changed to Reactivate to actually match the title of the game. But according to this former employee, it's all because of those pushbacks. Since the game was going to be transferred over to Reactivate and it was going to go into a graphical overhaul, it was inevitable for it to be pushed back. But according to this former employee, the hostile work environment didn't help, saying, and I quote, "Project and studio leadership is entirely a mates at the pub boys club. Your influence and sway at the studio will be directly proportional to who you go drinking with, not the quality of your work. Switching from work for hire to running their own projects has been a disaster. The studio does not know how to make and ship games, just endlessly chases pretty demo builds to satisfy funders." Which says a lot, man, because we've seen so many different graphical and interface changes with Transformers Reactivate that it's not even funny. And I know that's just a crux of it all, you know, that's just the process that goes into developing a game, seeing what works and seeing what doesn't work, but it's just telling how many versions of this game are probably out there. Shout outs to Transformers Reactivate Aficionado, RoboGamer1 HD for providing us with some of those schematics and other little alpha builds or pre-alpha builds, I'm sorry. But yeah, it's just crazy that they are just putting things out there to appease to these funders that are giving them money to make this game. But let's keep on reading. The return to the office with a 4-day work week has been accompanied by the most restrictive, inflexible HR policies I've ever seen at any company. Car broke down and want to work from home for a few hours? No. Get into work or take a holiday day. Any sense of career progression is a black box. Some people will get it, some people won't. And anytime you ask, you'll be told they're working on improving it. But that's been the case for years. Project and studio leadership constantly change their mind about what they want the team to be doing. It's almost impossible to get into any kind of flow when from week to week you could be working on something completely different with a different team around you. So yeah, they seem like they've been having trouble since this RTO or return to office policy went into place, which is basically where people who were previously working remotely from home or virtually now had to become an on-site employee and work in the same workspace with others, which does have its benefits, like it gives the workers more incentive to get certain projects done in a timely fashion, but there is that other percentage of individuals who prefer working from the comfort of their own home because they feel like they get things done more efficiently as well, and sometimes meeting face to face just doesn't get the job done, if you know what I mean. You can have a clear vision and overall idea on where you want to take the game and how you can just make it easier for other people around you, but if the person that's over you has a different vision and they're always being indecisive, it can be very chaotic, man. I know this because I actually have friends who work in the video game industry, and they always say that, man, the people that actually have the money and the ones that are privileged to be over the teams, they can be the most difficult to work with, especially if they aren't understanding what needs to be done and they aren't giving you a clear directive on what you need to do. Chances are you already have the groundwork laid out for a game and they look at that and say, no, you need to start over. Just imagine how long it takes to actually build something from the ground up, and something that's going to be tailored to the director's point of view. Things like that are going to be the deciding factor on how long it takes to develop a game. But moving on, this person continues to read off some of the cons of working at Splash Damage, which says unsuccessful upper management and project leadership teams that relies on false promise. Extreme favoritism, which leads the teams to quickly become boys club. Yeah, I think we remembered saying that in the previous one. Some outdated developers are holding key positions in the project management who care more about holding their positions than the well-being and success of the projects. Arrogance, dishonesty, and incompetency of said leadership members are driving best talent away from the company. Teams are not given enough time/space to create useful and sustainable workflows. Unprofessional working culture. The trust between company and devs are severed greatly. Teams are seriously understaffed. HR team is not doing a good job at supporting the devs. So as you guys hear, it seems like the work environment at Splash Damage has been very chaotic, and the lack of leadership has caused a lot of people to come and go, some of which who are already pushed out the door. The review also states that they lost a lot of senior staff, which left due to the RTO, which caused chaos on the projects, which once again, when you're dealing with RTO or return to office situations such as this one, it's imperative that you at least have people around that already have a good idea of what they're doing. But once those said people are out the door, then it's up to the newer people to come in and try to figure out how the game works, which involves coding and other things. And it kind of makes me think, man, like, given the fact that Splash Damage continued where the previous developers Certain Affinity left off, they were already dealing with a lot of heavy lifting, which is why we also have Bulkhead Studios working in tandem with the team. And we're not even sure if Certain Affinity gave them the full walkthrough on what they were doing with Transformers Rise before it ultimately became Transformers Reactivate. And it seems like this anonymous employee came in during this time when there was a shift in development, which is not the best time to come in at all if they were already dealing with these issues. And speaking of issues, we gotta talk about one of the biggest issues that I read up in this, because this one right here really takes the cake, which is the possibility that some of the leads at Splash Damage were suggesting that they use AI artwork to some of the concept artists that they had on board, which is a big no-no in my opinion. When it comes to using AI, especially in the form of art, you kind of tend to go into those murky waters, because one thing that you'll notice about AI is that it's this accumulative thing where it just takes all the different pieces of somebody's artwork and kind of just meshes them together, and it becomes a portrait of plagiarism. And I'm not saying that this is the thing that they did behind closed doors, but according to the advice that this guy gave to management, he suggested that the managers shouldn't tell the artists about how good generative AI is for making art. So take of that what you will. They probably suggested this to kind of offset some of the workload that they had to do. Who knows? Just reading all these things just gives you a general idea of why it's taken so long for them to just give us something. from all of the different concept demos that they were just giving to the higher ups just to make them happy, that just shows that they don't really have anything, or at least at the moment they didn't have anything to showcase to us in regards to the actual gameplay. I'm not sure if that's still the case or not, but hey, it's up in the air at this point. But anyways guys, I just wanted to give you guys my general thoughts on this because it is a bit concerning, but hopefully it's not indicative of what's currently going on with the game. But what are your thoughts on this? Do you feel like this game is DOA? I know I've asked that question so many times, but do you feel like this game is DOA? Or do you feel like there still could be a chance that this game can surface and be fully polished upon release? Let me know in the comment section below. As always, I ask that you like or dislike the video. It doesn't have to be a thumbs up, it can be a thumbs down. But if you really enjoyed this video, it would help me out tremendously if you shared it with all your friends and followers on all the different social media outlets. Sharing is caring. But once again, this is your boy RBG, aka the Random Black Gamer, signing out on another video. I'll catch you guys later. Peace out.